I'm back again, and I've got another weird video for you. And really, it's just a life lesson that I've learned and something that's affected me very negatively throughout my life. And that is living in fear and my willingness to live in fear and my willingness to choose fear. So, you want to duck out of the wind here, starting to pick up. The first time I remember being afraid, being terrified, was when I was a young kid. I must have been probably between 6 and 10. My parents always went to this campground called Swimmer's Delight. And in this campground, it's just surrounded by redwoods. You're deep within the redwood forest. It's got a river that runs through it. And we had this dog, this collie, this golden collie named Lassie. I get it. Yeah, my parents weren't the most original people at making names, but this Lassie, so me and Lassie, decided, she was playing with the stick and I was throwing the stick, and next thing you know, we got on the trail and I'm running down the trail, and she wasn't the type of dog that would bring that stick back to you. You would have to chase her down and wrench it from her. So me and Lassie were running down the trail, probably for a good hour, an hour and a half, and she's running off into the woods, and I'm chasing her down, and I'm throwing the stick even farther out in the woods, and I'm chasing her down. And so next thing you know, I turn around and I realize, like, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know where the trail's at. So I immediately start walking back and trying to find the trail, and couldn't find the trail. It's starting to get dark. It was, deep into the evening at this point. And when you're in the redwood forest and you're underneath that deep, thick canopy, it gets dark pretty quickly. Anyways, I'm standing out there, and that was that feeling, that initial feeling where I realized that I don't know where the trail is, I don't know where I'm at, I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know what to do. That is the first time I remember experiencing this overwhelming fear. And now when I think back to that moment, and I think back to that young kid being lost in the woods, there's always those points and situations in your life where you're faced with some sort of adversity and your character comes out, the things that really truly make you you. At that moment, I realized something about myself. I wasn't afraid of being alone. I wasn't afraid of being lost. I was embarrassed that I got there. I was embarrassed that I was foolish and that I was incompetent, and I was just, how dumb of me to allow this to happen. And when I think about who that person is today, every time I look back and I think about all these moments that I could have, really gone for something or really done something, or asked that girl that you had the giant crush on for years out. And the one thing that fear gives you in those moments is a way out. It's a way of saying, you know what, I suck, I couldn't do it anyways. And it means you don't have to try. You don't have to put yourself out there. You don't have to do something hard. You don't have to take a risk. And now when I look back on that, it was all based in fear. I was afraid. I was simply just afraid of people finding out that I struggle. It's hard for me. It's not easy. And I know that sounds crazy because that's true for everybody, but there's such a part of me that wants to hide that, who wants to seem, invincible or capable and competent regardless of what is occurring, fearless in what is happening, and never really show that reality of that person who just simply doesn't know what they're doing. You spend so much time and energy trying to mask that and trying to cover that up and trying to make sure that nobody becomes aware of it. You lose touch with the goal of doing something and achieving something. And man, if I could just go back to that moment and talk to this 21-year-old guy who was running around thinking that, you know what, I suck, I'm incapable, I'm incompetent, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, everything that I do doesn't work out, I have to struggle at everything, I have to work so hard to just achieve the smallest goals. And if I could just go back to that 21-year-old kid and shake him, kick him right square in the ass, and convince him that mindset is what destroys you. It's you thinking that way that makes those things happen. It's you thinking that you're incapable and you're incompetent and you can't do something, that takes away your attention. It removes your attention from the things that you need to do in order to fulfill on those goals and become that thing. You're talking yourself, and I can't say that enough, you're talking yourself into ruin. You're choosing to give up early. You're choosing to not to try. And the odd thing about those moments when you're 21, because I spent so much time trying to prove that I was courageous. I was trying to prove that I'm brave and I'm not scared of things. I could stand in the face of danger and smile. And I was happy to do that. And I was happy to be that guy. I wanted to show how brave and courageous I am. But I was only brave with my body. I was not brave with that ego. I was not willing to sacrifice my ego. And that ego, as I said, was not an ego that lifted you up, but it's an ego that tore you down, that humiliated you every single day. It's something that destroyed your eternal soul. And I was protecting it. I was because in order for me to go after, to allow that to be exposed, would be exposing my incompetence, my incapability, and the fact that I need help in the world, and the fact that I can't do things alone. And the consequence, the real consequence of those decisions is you become selfish, frankly. You become somebody who's not willing to engage. You're not willing to, work with people. You're not willing to ask for help. You end up becoming this weird loner that avoids other people. It avoids those connections, and it avoids the community in which you live. And the reason why that hurts you and not them is because when you do that, you lose opportunity. You lose those moments of connecting with somebody that would help you advance you in your future. You lose those connections with the community, and you lose those connections within the community that could offer you jobs and success and not only friendship, but a purpose and a meaning to do and to be something and take place within the society. When you separate yourself from that because of that fear, it's just another nail in the coffin of your own demise. We are, as human beings, we are a creature that enjoys company. We are a packed animal. We tribalize because we want people around us. We want to be in a group. We want to be with people who think and act and do the things we do. We are fulfilled when we experience that. We're fulfilled by our families. We're fulfilled by our communities. Human beings are really meant to be in service of one another. And when you are not providing that, it's depressing. And it makes you depressed because you really aren't doing anything that's beneficial. You're really not doing something that helps somebody else. And you're not providing a service that helps the world. You're just living for yourself. You're living for your own selfish needs, and you start to only perceive yourself. Your only perception is yourself and not the people in the world around you. You forget to look around. You forget to engage, and you give up on the meaning of love and joy and in connection. So now, when I think about it now, and in all the ways I'm changing, and I actually do think it's funny because a lot of people have noticed this change in me. And you always get that random criticism that you're a 52-year-old man, you're going through a midlife crisis, and that's why you're making all these changes. And I've made some changes. I've changed I quit a very successful job. I've changed my career. I've ventured out and created my own business, which is frankly not the best place right now. But I wouldn't trade that for the world. I love the adventure that I'm on every day. I love the challenge of trying to make things work. I've took on projects that I have no idea what I'm doing, and I have no idea how to work it, but I'm choosing to put myself in places that are fulfilling and dangerous. When we choose this safety culture, we become neutered. We become that cog in the machine. We become that gear that only does one thing. when you're able to go in places that you don't know and do jobs that you've never done and conquer things that you wouldn't have thought ever possible. This is that adventure. This is that thing that, that makes us explore, that makes us go out into space, that makes us, try to see what's over that hill, that mountain, what's on that next continent. This is the thing that drives the human soul. And there's so many things today that try to remove that from you, to try to just turn you into an empty vessel that simply does a job, that wants to live in a safe environment, that wants to live in a safety net in which nothing can hurt you or harm you. What I'm trying to say is we shouldn't necessarily be putting ourselves in things that are extremely dangerous, but we should be choosing things that make us uncomfortable. Just like when you work out and you have to pick up something heavy and it hurts and it strains your muscles and it strains your mental ability, but yet the more you do it, the more muscle that you grow, and the more muscle and the stronger you become, and the more that you could lift, and the stronger and the person that comes out of that is a better person that you started from. And so much of that is about doing something that's hard, that hurts, that is not comfortable, that frankly sometimes will make you want to throw up. But what the person that comes out of that is so much better. It's such an improvement. And now when I think about this 50-year-old man who is in his midlife crisis, and people are probably laughing and giggling at the choices that I've made, I'm actually very proud of that. I'm proud to be in this crisis, because this crisis comes from a place of realization that I don't have that much time left. And the time that I've had, I've wasted enormous amounts of time. I've wasted enormous amounts of energy in pursuing my own demise, in pursuing destroying my own mental state. And so now when I think about the future, I think, man, I got to take advantage of this. I got to take advantage of this time. The only regret here is that I'm having this crisis at 52 and not at 22. Man, the person I could have been if I would have adopted these behaviors, adopted this mindset back when I was 22. But you know how it is. You can't go back. You could only go forward. And so going forward, I could not only change my behavior, but I could, kind of let people know the mistakes that I've made and the bad choices that I've chosen. Hopefully that's a gift that I could give to somebody so they stop going down that path. They stop spending so much energy trying to destroy themselves instead of becoming that person and choosing to be that person. Because really at the end of the day, this is a choice. You get to choose the person you want to be. But in order to do that, you have to go out and pursue that person. You have to pursue the things that you want in life. You have to be fearless. You have to go out and seek those goals. And I think the seeking, the journey is such a special journey. And I know there's times when it's hard and it's scary, and I'm going through all that right now. It's also, you could perceive it as an adventure, as this great adventure that you're on. You're heading towards the horizon. You don't know what's over that. You don't know where the world will end. And man, it just fills you with fear, but that fear could drive you to climb those mountains, to conquer the seas, and frankly find those new continents in your life. So now when I think about fear, I actually think about this one story, this funny story that I had in my life. I was 32 at the time. I was working with this young man, and this young man would just walk up to every beautiful girl that he saw and asked her out on a date. And so I'll just give you an example of this. So one time I'm working with him, I was working construction, and we were at the end of the job. We are doing all the punch list items, and there's two girls in the same room with us cleaning. They were on some scaffolding doing the windows. And so this guy, he just immediately walks up to one of them and says, "Hey, I noticed you working here, and man, I just think that you're so beautiful, and man, I would really love to take you out tonight. I've got these 2 tickets to this concert. Wow, it would be great if you would go with me." And she looked at him and said, "No, sorry, I'm not interested. Thank you. I've got a boyfriend," and just kind of turned her head, went back to work. And and immediately he just looks at the other girl on the scaffolding with her. They're both in the same room doing windows. And he just walks up to her and he goes, hey, I noticed you've been working here. I think you're so beautiful. And I've got these 2 tickets to this concert. And I would love it if you could go, if you would go with me. I'd be, oh man, it would be such a privilege to be able to take a girl like you to this concert. And me and the other girl are looking at each other, and we're both kind of making eye contact, kind of rolling our eyes, going, oh my God, she just heard you saying that same pickup line to the other girl on the other side of the scaffolding. Like, oh my God, are you that dumb? Are you that stupid? Like, there's no way this girl's is gonna say yes. Like, Jesus Christ, man. And to my surprise, she said, yes, I would love to go to that movie. Thank you for asking. What time do you want to pick me up? And so later on, it's lunchtime. We're sitting on the tailgate, and I just go, I got to say, man, I'm totally impressed, man. You asked the girl out, and then immediately turned right to her coworker and asked her out using the same line, same tickets, same everything, and she said yes. And I go, dude, yeah, you got some panache, you got some, bravado. You are. You're kind of a stud there, brother. And I go, I don't have the courage. I would never have the courage to do that. I would never feel comfortable doing that. And I go, yeah, you could probably teach some lessons. And he goes, well, here's the thing. The best advice I ever got was from my uncle. And he told me this. If I walk up to 100 beautiful women every month and ask them out, and only 2 out of that 100 say yes, I get to date 2 beautiful women every month. I remember hearing that and thinking, yeah, that's a great way of looking at life. He was not concerned about the rejection. He was not concerned about being humiliated. He was not concerned about how everybody would laugh at him when she said no. He was not concerned about any of that. What he was concerned about was dating beautiful women. Like that was his goal. Like I love women. I love being around women, and I want to date as many beautiful women as I can. And his energy was towards the opportunity. That has really stuck with me, regardless of, this is not just a dating thing. This is in everything in your life. If you're not willing to go out there and try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even 100 times, you will never get to that opportunity to spend that time with that beautiful soul, or have that wonderful job, or be in a situation where you took a chance and you created your own industry, your own your own company. If you live in fear of that first rejection, you will never get an opportunity to have those experiences. So courage to me is no longer being brave and within the lack of fear. Courage is the ability to stand up and stare at your fear and overcome it, and not allow it to control your mind, not allow it to control your thoughts, and certainly not allow it to control your decisions. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm focused now on the success and not the ridicule. I'm focused on achieving the things that I want in my life, and being a better servant to others. And I'm not concerning myself with how people perceive me, how people think of me. And now I'm connecting and I'm asking for help, because you know what? I need help. I need help in order to survive in this world. In order for me to achieve things, I need people's assistance in doing that. Anyways, I hope this helped. I hope this maybe added something. This has just been my experience. I would love to get your feedback and your comments on it. So please like and subscribe if you like what we are doing, if you like what we're saying. Also, please leave those comments. We'd love to read them. We read them all. And I'd like to get your feedback. And maybe you've gone through something different. Maybe you see the world in a different way. But I would love to get your input on that. And thank you so much for joining us. And you know what? Have a wonderful life. Be courageous. Don't live in fear. I hope you guys all have a wonderful time in your life, and I hope this helped. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye. All right, I got to show you around one more time. Look at this beautiful place.